Ladies and gentlemen, students of life, there will come a day, and maybe it's today, when everything inside you whispers, give up. The results aren't coming. The doors remain shut, the people who said they'd support you, silent, and in that moment you will face a decision that determines the entire course of your destiny. You will decide whether to quit or continue. Understand the why behind the win before you chase the win. Get clear on why it matters to your soul. Before we even talk about winning, before we chase trophies, titles, or applause, we have to begin with a question that's deeper than ambition. Why? Why do you want to win? What is it you're really after? Because let me tell you something. If your reason is shallow, your commitment will be too. You can't sustain greatness on ego alone. It burns too fast. What fuels lasting success, what separates those who endure from those who disappear, is purpose. Purpose is not a buzzword. It's the anchor in the storm. When the applause dies down, when the progress stalls, when the crowd stops clapping. Purpose is what keeps you standing. It's your why that carries you through the how. And if your why is rooted in external validation, you will eventually quit. Not because you're weak, but because external things can't hold up the weight of an internal journey. This is where the philosophy meets the psychology. Viktor Frankl wrote in Man's Search for Meaning that those who have a why to live can bear almost any how. It's not about avoiding struggle. It's about giving your struggle meaning. And when your reason for doing something is bigger than your excuses, you become unstoppable. So I ask you today not what you want, but why you want it. Because once you're clear on that, everything else, the discipline, the resilience, the courage falls into place. Don't just chase the win, anchor yourself in the why. That's where real power begins. Failure is not final, every loss is a lesson dressed in disguise. Winners turn setbacks into setups. Failure, it's a word we've been taught to fear, to avoid, to hide from. But let me tell you something essential. Failure is not the end. It's not a dead-end street. It's a detour, a redirection, a mirror reflecting where you need to grow. The truth is, failure is one of the most consistent and honest teachers you will ever have. And if you're willing to sit with it, not run from it, you'll realize it's not there to break you. It's there to build you. Psychologically, we know that the brain responds to failure with two paths: shutdown or adaptation. People who quit often interpret failure as a verdict, I'm not good enough. But those who win interpret failure as feedback, I'm not there yet. That small shift in mindset changes everything. Because once you start seeing failure as information rather than indictment, it becomes a tool, a roadmap. Philosophically, this is echoed in every transformative life. The Stoics taught us that obstacles are not to be avoided but used. Marcus Aurelius said, "The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way." That's not just poetic, it's profoundly practical. The people we call winners are not people who avoided failure. They are the ones who refused to let it define them. You don't have to be fearless to win. You just have to stop treating failure like a full stop. It's not. It's a comma. Learn from it. Adapt. Continue. Because the ones who win aren't the ones who never fall. They are the ones who always rise. Discipline over desire. Motivation is fleeting. Discipline is where champions are made. Desire feels good. It's energizing. It can spark something powerful in you. But here's what most people don't realize. Desire is unreliable. It comes and goes. It fluctuates with mood, environment, even sleep. One moment you're all in, the next you're questioning why you started. That's why if your commitment is based on how you feel, you won't last. You'll quit when it stops being exciting. Winners know this. They don't rely on emotion. They rely on discipline. Discipline is different. It doesn't ask how you feel. It asks what you promised. It's the structure that holds you up when motivation collapses. And neurologically speaking, discipline rewires the brain. Every time you choose consistency over comfort, You're reinforcing pathways of grit and long-term thinking. You're strengthening the prefrontal cortex, the part of your mind responsible for decision making and impulse control. That's not just willpower, that's biology working for your future. Philosophers like Aristotle spoke of this in terms of virtue, habitual excellence. He said, "We are what we repeatedly do." Excellence, then, is not an act but a habit. Discipline is that habit. It's showing up when it's raining, when it's lonely, when no one is watching, especially when no one is watching. Because that's when identity is forged. Desire may get you started, but only discipline will carry you through. So if you want to win, truly win, train yourself to show up even when you don't feel like it. Feelings fade. Discipline remains. Resilience is a spiritual muscle. The ability to keep going is a divine force, nurtured through faith, pain, and growth. Resilience isn't just a personality trait. It's a practiced strength, a kind of spiritual muscle. And like any muscle, it grows through tension, through pressure, through repeated resistance. We often admire resilience in others without realizing what it costs. It's born not from ease, but from experience, disappointment, rejection, failure, and yes, even heartbreak. But the most resilient people are not hard or bitter. They are anchored in something deeper than outcome. Anchored in belief, in purpose, in faith. Whatever name you give it, it's the inner voice that says, "This will not be the end of me." From a psychological lens, resilience is the capacity to recover and even grow in the face of adversity. Researchers call it post-traumatic growth. It means the challenge didn't just leave you standing, it made you stronger. And here's the remarkable truth. Every time you overcome, you build a little more capacity to withstand. You build endurance, character, emotional intelligence. You build something far more valuable than success. You build depth. Philosophers have always known this. Nietzsche famously said, "He who has a why to live can bear almost any how," echoing what we explored earlier. That how, the tough part, is where resilience is formed, not in avoiding struggle, but in confronting it with clarity and courage. So don't resent the resistance, respect it, because every time you choose to stand when it would be easier to fall, you are not breaking down. You are building spiritual strength. Resilience is not just how you survive, it's how you rise. Your circle shapes your stamina. Surround yourself with people who feed your fire, not drain your dream. No one wins alone. That's not just a cliché. It's a psychological reality. Human beings are profoundly shaped by the environments they inhabit and the people they surround themselves with. Whether you realize it or not, your closest relationships are either strengthening your resolve or slowly eroding it. The people in your circle are either amplifying your voice or dulling your vision. Neuroscience tells us we mirror the behaviors and emotions of those around us. This is called emotional contagion. If you're constantly around people who settle, who speak the language of limitation, who normalize quitting when things get hard, then over time, you will unconsciously absorb that mindset. Not because you lack strength, but because proximity is powerful. Now think about the inverse. When you're surrounded by people who strive, who speak with clarity, who pursue growth, not perfection, you begin to rise to that energy. Philosophers have long emphasized this. Confucius said, "If you are the smartest person in the room, then you are in the wrong room." That's not about ego, it's about evolution. Winners are deliberate about who they let speak into their lives. They curate their circles like they curate their goals, intentionally, purposefully, and with vision. So ask yourself today, who are you walking with? Who's in your corner when discipline wavers, when resilience is tested? Because whether you climb or crumble will often come down to this, your circle. If you want to go far, surround yourself with people who remind you why you started. Quitting is a habit. So is winning. Both are choices we reinforce every day. Choose wisely. Quitting is rarely a single decision. It's a pattern, a slow erosion of belief, a quiet retreat from effort. And here's what we often miss. Quitting isn't just something you do. It becomes someone you become. The more you quit, the easier it gets. It becomes a neural pathway, a habit the brain defaults to when discomfort shows up. But the opposite is also true. Winning is a habit too. Persistence, showing up, finishing. It rewires your brain the same way. It becomes your instinct. Psychologically, this is called behavioral conditioning. Every time you choose to push through instead of pulling back, you reinforce grit. You build mental stamina, much like physical training. Over time, you stop needing external rewards because your identity begins to shift. You are no longer someone trying to win. You are someone who doesn't quit. And that identity, it drives everything. Philosophers understood this well. William James, the father of American psychology, once wrote that we become what we repeatedly do through voluntary acts. The decision to persist over time becomes a reflection of your character, not just your goals, and character, not comfort, is what ultimately defines a winner. So when you're standing at the edge of quitting, I want you to pause, not because you won't feel tired or discouraged, but because you've made a deeper decision. I don't quit. Not today, not like this. Every time you don't quit, you train your future to believe in your power.